My narcissistic sister tried to kill me. Family thought it was a joke. Now they understand. A bit of background: I'm the second youngest child out of 5. Among my older siblings, I have 2 brothers and 1 older sister, who for this story we'll call X. There's a 5-year age gap between me and X, so we never really had that sisterly bond you might expect. Growing up, I was always a burden to her, and whenever it was my turn to pick a family movie or do anything else, she'd get upset. The reason for that is because, since she was 9, X had this obsessive need to control everything. I'm sure you can imagine where this leads. Now, I'm about to turn 19, and X is 24. Her boyfriend, let's call him Y, proposed to her during a family beach day this June. It was one of those big proposals with giant white letters made of rose petals, and he'd prepared everything before our family arrived. X was thrilled and said yes, and my parents, along with my older siblings, were really happy. The youngest kid in our family is just 4 years old, so I don't think they quite understood what was going on. Now here comes the drama. From the moment she got engaged, X completely transformed into a controlling bride. At my mom's insistence, X made me one of her bridesmaids. So, now I'm caught up in all of this nonsense. Here are some of the demands my dear sister laid out. All bridesmaids must pay for their own dresses, a pale pink color, costing $300, as well as shoes, hairstyles, and makeup. We must attend all bridal showers, including an $800 spa day, a bridal shower in Toronto with a hotel stay at $1,000 for 2 nights, and a $25 cake and food tasting event. To attend the wedding, each guest must pay a $150 deposit, or their seat at the reception will be forfeited. Gifts must either be cash or a gift from her gift list. If a gift doesn't match the list, she'll return it. My mom calls this pre-wedding stress, but I think it's just my sister trying to control everything. She wants the wedding in December at a ski resort. Oh, and here are some more requirements for the bridesmaids she listed the day before the wedding. Everyone must visit the beauty salon every 6 weeks to make sure our skin and hair are perfect for the photos. Of course, at our expense. Anyone with tattoos must cover them using our dresses, as they're supposed to cover our neck, ankles, and wrists. X wants to be the only one showing her tattoos and bright hair. We either need to dye our hair a natural color or buy a wig at our own expense. Dresses only go up to size 10. If you don't fit, you have to lose weight. I wear size 12, and my sister calls me fat. She even ordered me a keto diet book. No one, including vendors, should directly communicate with the bride or groom. Everything must go through the bridesmaids. She created a wedding email we all have access to and says we shouldn't ask her if anything is normal, we just need to know. This particularly stressed my mom out. We also had to remind guests to pay the $150 deposit to keep their place at the wedding. We had to ask guests which gift they're buying from the list or how much money they plan to give, and add it to the list. Telling this story to others made me realize how messed up my family is. I'm considering seeing a therapist at my university to see if I can move into the dorms. I called my aunt, who's also my godmother, while I was at work. She thinks my mom's crazy and strongly suggests I talk to my parents about everything, not just the wedding but also their preferential treatment of my sister. She also said she'd help if things go wrong. What do people suggest at this stage? Some commenters told me I'd have to accept that finances control the lives of many, and if I don't get my head on straight, it'll prevent me from participating in her wedding. Author, I tried explaining this to her, but she doesn't listen. Her fiancé, Y, makes over $120,000 a year working in IT, and she's an accountant earning $100,000. They could easily pay for everything themselves. Tell your mom and sister that you won't participate until someone covers all your costs. Your mom shouldn't pretend everything is fine when your sister is acting like a madwoman. Author, this won't work. She's a very calm person, so they're well suited. She's the only one who can calm X down. Author, how does the groom's family feel about the $150 entry fee? Author, they think it's normal for an Italian family, but I just learned that it's not. Tell your mom you don't have that kind of money, and tell your sister she can make you a regular guest. Author, she has 13 bridesmaids, 12 bridesmaids and 1 maid of honor. Why 13? Because it matches the number of brothers in the groom's class. There were 13 people with whom he became brothers. I don't know what that means, but it's important to him. I talked to her. She said it's my responsibility as a sister to save money. Mom and Dad are paying for almost $100,000 for the wedding, so they can't give me $2,000 for my expenses. I'm heading to university this fall, and my tuition costs $177,0397. It's entirely our responsibility. Mom and Dad saved up for the weddings and honeymoons for all of us. First update. A week later, we finally talked. 2 days ago, and I needed a day to think it all over and process the information. It turned out my dad never knew the full story. He only knew he was responsible for paying for X's dress and part of the wedding. The reason is my parents told me that my dad confirmed through bank statements that my parents created accounts with $25,000 for each of us siblings. The rule was that we could use these accounts for anything once we turned 19 and went to school. I just turned 19, and Dad was about to sign over my funds to me when we had this conversation. It caused a small scandal, but now I need to tell you some backstory I found out right after my sister got engaged. Turns out, she had spoken to my mom about always feeling like the neglected child. She'd used that phrase before, so I believe my mom bought into it and started feeling guilty. After a long conversation, my mom decided she could redirect some of the money from all the kids' accounts to pay for my sister's wedding. For those wondering, my two older brothers serve in the army. They're not married and live on base. They've never used their $25,000 because the army pays for their education, housing, and so on. So, my mom had $50,000 at her disposal. Then, combined with $25,000 from my sister and $25,000 from me, it would total $100,000. My mom decided that since I'm spending $177,000 on tuition, she could just give away the $25,000 she took from me. Later, my sister did this because she's a master manipulator who pulls the right strings. When I was born, my mom went through very serious postpartum depression, which led to her staying in a psychiatric facility for 4 months, leaving my sister, 2 brothers, and me with Dad. My older brothers were 9 and 7, and I was just a few months old. My sister was 5 or younger. Since my brothers were difficult, Dad had a lot on his plate, and I was taken care of by the nanny. My sister got the least attention at a time when attention was crucial. I think this triggered some of her bad qualities. Although the nanny helped her with the basics, food, water, cleaning, and a little play, she couldn't replace Mom. When Mom came back, my sister was really angry, but not at Mom, at me. I was the reason Mom left, which led to my sister trying to smother me with a pillow. Mom prevented it just in time, and that became a funny story in our family. Turns out, this was her way of coping. Throughout my childhood, my sister used manipulation to get what she wanted. It's no surprise she tried to do the same with her wedding. Mom felt guilty and decided to give her everything she wanted. Second update. Now that the backstory is done, let me tell you what happened. We finally talked, and I told him how I felt, how much of a financial hit this has been, how unfair it all is, and so on. Dad flipped out. He didn't know about the $100,000. I showed him a screenshot of the group chat. He wasn't happy that Mom used the phrase "your father and I agreed," when they never actually discussed it. We talked about the wedding, and I don't need to attend. Then, I was asked to leave the room because Mom and Dad wanted to talk privately. They worked out the budget. Dad asked me why I didn't feel comfortable talking to him about it earlier. I showed him this story I'm writing. Dad flipped out. He immediately called my sister and said she had to come here ASAP because he needed to talk to her, and he wasn't accepting any excuses. She said she'd be here in 4 hours since she was with her fiancé and his family. Dad insisted she fly home immediately, but she hung up and blocked him. Dad told me to leave the room again. I'm not sure what happened between them, but after that, Mom came to talk to me. She told me about her postpartum depression and other things I didn't know. We kind of made up, and I asked Mom if my sister would see a therapist since she was so sure this 4-month break caused all her issues. Mom said she'd try, but couldn't force her. I said that if she didn't go, I would cut off contact with her, and possibly limit her access to the kids. Dad reassured me I'd get my $25,000, and I wouldn't have to go to the wedding if I didn't want to. Since my sister is charging $150 per guest, she can pay for her own grand wedding with the funds she's collected. Of course, that's a joke, but it seems like the groom's family isn't paying for the wedding, so my parents will have to cover it all. Update 3. 3 months later, family therapy is going well. My 2 older brothers got temporary leave to come back to Canada. They had been serving abroad. Our family is on the path to recovery, and Mom and I have become closer than ever. Honestly, it feels like I have a best friend again. As for my sister, honestly, I don't know what's going on with her. A friend is still keeping tabs on her social media, and it seems like she's doing fine. The wedding was moved from December to November. She and her fiancé bought a house, and I've heard rumors that she's pregnant. She cut all contact with us. The groom's family is spreading rumors about us, but we're holding strong. My older brother is getting married. So, while I've lost a terrible sister, I'm gaining an amazing one. She's so sweet, writes to me every couple of days, even orders me food when I'm feeling down. Though she lives in another state, she even asked me if I'm comfortable being her maid of honor. She's the only child in the family, and her mom passed away, so I agreed. So, next year, I'll officially have a new sister. I've got a boyfriend too. He's in the military, looks like it's unavoidable. He's been super supportive and loves me. It's been almost a month since we started dating. Update 4. After my sister's wedding, my family and I were excluded from attending the ceremony. but my cousins, friends, and her husband's family told me how it went. Nothing special. The groom's mom showed up in an ivory dress, and a few people brought their kids, even though kids weren't supposed to be there. The real drama started at the banquet. I feel a little bad for my sister, but the groom's mom invited one of his ex-girlfriends, hoping it would break them up. It didn't work. She tried to get between my sister and her new husband, but credit to him, he told her to leave. Honestly, it wasn't as dramatic as it sounds. They made it to the altar, and now they're off on their honeymoon today or tomorrow. My sister really is pregnant. At the end of the banquet, the groom gave a speech with a slideshow, and the last slide showed an ultrasound photo with the caption, "Baby, last name, June 2023. There's been a lot of opinions on this story already, and it's hard to add anything more. It's great the story ended the way it did because often it goes much worse. You can see that in other stories on our channel. Be sure to subscribe because we've got a lot more like this in store. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share this with your friends.